And we're back with Congressman Matt Gaetz, Republican of Florida, who was just renominated a few moments ago for his House seat. Forgive me, I didn't think that a guy like you had to worry about a primary, and I'm sure you didn't. How much did you win by? Do you know yet, Congressman?
It looks like the margin will be around 45 points. So I call it, a Liz Cheney-like margin, but good to be on the right side of it.
Well, congratulations indeed. We need you in Congress, and I'm glad that's happening. Hey, Donald Trump, the FBI raid. I saw some fake news headlines. They're breathless. They're talking about the document. It reminds me of Russia all over again. What's your take on all of this?
Well, if the national security state is falsely accusing Donald Trump of being a spy, it's not even the first time they've done it. I've been to this movie before. I know that in secret courts, there are people willing to change evidence to try to get back at President Trump. And, they really, I think, are doing this in anticipation of a midterm election where Democrats are going to face serious defeats. And I believe that this is galvanizing a lot of Republicans for President Trump. People are recognizing what phase of this conflict we are in within our country, where increasingly every element of our government is weaponized against us, whether it's this bizarre FBI raid on a former president, 87,000 new IRS agents, or even the ability that Democrats maintain for the Department of Education to have assault weapons, all this where they're trying to take very popular firearms away from the American people. So it's really all part of the same scary narrative. The good news is the fighting force within the Republican Party is ascendant. My primary win tonight shows that. Liz Cheney's loss shows that. So if we get the fighters and we get the majority and we can conduct the oversight, we will connect the pain people are feeling with the corrupt, bad decisions of this Biden government.
I would have loved to have seen you on the January 6th committee panel. You were fantastic in the impeachment. There was no cross-examination. Nobody like you to wage that fight. Let's say the Republicans do take over in November. What would you like to see? Would you like to see the January 6th committee continued, but a real bipartisan affair? What are your thoughts?
Well, remember, the January 6th committee has taken thousands of hours of depositions that they haven't released to people. I think a lot of that is going to be very helpful to President Trump and to the MAGA Republicans who have seen this government try to smear them from the legislative and executive branches. I want to know the extent of the federal government's own involvement in January 6th. What were the federal agents that we know were on the grounds on January 6th doing? Were they increasing any of the acuity of criminality during that day? And I also want to look into the violations of people's civil rights who were used as pawns in a process where normally they would have been released or facing minor charges. But you saw a Department of Justice so eager to construct threats around the MAGA movement that they actually, I think, used very different prosecutorial tools that you would otherwise see. And we have to look at that because we always have to stand up for everyone's civil rights. And we don't want the tyrants around the world pointing to Joe Biden and saying, well, look at what he does at Mar-a-Lago. Look at what he did to the J6 defendants. That justifies anything we do against our political opposition. We're supposed to be a shining light, not a sad example of a diminishing country with a diminished president.
So this might be awkward for you and other Republicans on Capitol Hill. Some of those Capitol Police, I'm sorry, but the way they testified, the things they said, one of them said that you and Marjorie Taylor Greene shouldn't be in office because you actually visited or tried to visit the January 6th prisoners. I thought his comments were totally outrageous. Would you consider looking at Capitol Hill police failures? And we all support cops, but there were major failures on January 6th by the Capitol Police. When will we have a full and fair accounting of that?
The Capitol Police leadership serves at the pleasure of the Speaker of the House. And so when we change the Speaker of the House, my suspicion is there's going to be a lot of changes in the various and sundry positions where the Speaker has that authority to make personnel changes. And, we don't let the Capitol Police decide who gets to be in Congress. That's the people all throughout the country. And, I'd feel a lot better if people like Lauren Boebert were able to carry a firearm inside the Capitol. Maybe that would keep us all more secure even than the Capitol Police.
Also, I'm sure you're aware, Ashley Babbitt, we talk about her every night. if you and your colleagues would consider. She was shot right outside the House chamber. It looked to me like an unjustified shooting. I haven't seen too much of an appetite, really, to pick up this issue. What are your thoughts on Ashley Babbitt? And can we hope for a full accounting of what happened to her?
We should. People are not supposed to die in the United States Capitol who are unarmed. I've met with Ashley Babbitt's mother twice, and she's dogged to get answers regarding her daughter's death. I think there's a lot of information regarding the specific officer involved in that shooting that has been concealed from the public. And so if Republicans take control, and it appears as though we will, we have to repurpose the January 6th committee to get answers about the Ashley Babbitt shooting, to get answers about the federal government's involvement, and certainly to get answers about an inadequate response from Capitol Police, and a response that I think had people unwittingly caught in maybe a technical legal violation, but certainly without the desire to violate any laws of our country.
By the way, I think there's been total exoneration and possibly relief for your family. Your father, your family was targeted by an extortionist. That guy is going to jail. That's terrific. We've seen the pressure come down on you. And how do you feel about this development?
I tell you what, Greg, it's been a hell of a 48 hours. The person that was telling vicious lies about me is going to federal prison for 5 years, and I'm going back to the United States Congress for 2 years to hold the people accountable who I think have been weaponized against our great country. This person told lies about me. Those lies were repeated endlessly by a media that, even a CNN director was caught on camera saying they were trying to propagandize my life because I'm effective. But I did not let them define me. I did not let them destroy me. I continued with my work on the Armed Services Committee to de-wokeify our great military, and on the Judiciary Committee to fight for people's rights and against the deep state. And now here I am, overwhelmingly renominated by my party, poised to win a general election, and able to say that, you know what, the people that were lying about me, they're going to prison. Those things were not true, and I look forward to continued service to my constituents.
Amazing, amazing. I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for our country that you're going back. Seriously, Matt Gaetz, Congressman, Republican of Florida, thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, we'll be right back.